What's going on, everybody? David Feldman-Makrias back with you. And without further ado, making you wait any longer, let's get right into identifying a multi-$100,000 per month sales opportunity for a couple of stores that we're identifying in a specific market. Okay? And it's pretty easy to solve. I'm logged into what? I'm logged into AutoFlight. I use AutoFlight, and so does my team, because it's powered by Urban Science, and Urban Science with AutoFlight does a nice job of reporting clean retail sales data, which is essentially RDR data. Not Polk. It's about as current as you could get. It's manufacturer reported. It strips out fleet, loaners punched, executive demos, all that other stuff that muddies up the water between different manufacturers and actually gives you a realistic input of what retail sales data reporting actually looks like. So guess what? You can actually benchmark against your competition. I promise this video is not brought to you by AutoFlight. I just like using it, and there might be something better out there, but we really like it. So nevertheless, how do I identify an opportunity here? Well, we come into the dashboard, and what we're looking at is this units sold by zip module widget. And I really like it, right? So this is my typical process. I'm going to come into settings given by this big gear cog, and I'm going to look at July's data because right now it's August 17th. We already did this in the previous week, but I look at the previous month because what? Dealers, essentially, we live month to month, right? My agency responds a lot to dealers. So our dealer clientele lives month to month, so do we. So we're going to look at 1 month's sales data, and we're only looking at one manufacturer. It's a domestic dealer. I wish you could see all this data in here, but I have to protect the privacy of our clients. That is really the utmost thing. But I will tell you, the client that we represent currently is in this #1 position with the most amount of units sold. Here's the thing, though, right? These are RDRs of the specific manufacturer within a 50-mile radius, right? And all the colors and all this different stuff is like which dealership owned this piece. So like this purple, that means the store owned this zip code, this zip code, this zip code, this area, this area, this area. So it gives you a nice spread of the different areas. Here's how we identify the sales opportunities, and it's pretty easy, right? It's pretty easy. It's not just about being at the top, right? Because you might look and say, oh, we're at the top. That's a good job. Well, is it? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't feel like it, right? And that's why it's so important to track the data, because what I'm about to show you paints a different story, and it's a very simple, easy switch. It's not just about looking at units sold. You want to look at share, right? What is our piece of the pie? What is our percentage of sales? So if I click this to market share, guess what happens? The numbers change. It's no longer units sold, but now it's a percent of the pie breakdown. And guess what? This store is still at the top of the food chain. It has the most amount of market share. Great. But still there's an opportunity, right? How do we track that opportunity? Well, it's not just about market share. It's about the delta. It's about the difference. It's about what the comparison is to a previous period. And guess what we found? When you switch this over to share change, what it's going to do is it's going to compare July of 2026 to July of 2025 for this manufacturer, right? And we're going to see what happened. When I hit this button, it's a different story. I can't necessarily share, funny enough, I can't necessarily share with you all the names of the stores here, but if you look, what's the color icon here? Purple. That's at the top for market share. What's the color icon here at the top? Purple for units sold. What's the colors? What color are we missing when we look at share change? In the positive, we're missing purple, okay? We got knocked down in this instance. we lost market share. Even though we're at the top, we bled market share, okay? So just being in a certain rank or spot or what have you is not good enough to look at. When we analyze a store, we're going to not only look at your retail sales, your units sold, this and that, but we're going to get you accurate live data and have the capacity to get you accurate live data to say, hey, I know we all said rah, 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 and we did a good job, but what about our share? We're missing here. Look, this gray guy, this gray color indicated store has increased 3 percentage points. Maybe that's only a few units per month. But if you stack that percentage share increase over a number of months, that's how a store outsells you. That's how a store gains on you. That's like if you think of the Kentucky Derby and the horses are racing and you got the lead horse in front, that's how the dark horse actually like gains up on you and like wins at the end. This is the kind of data that we need to look at on a monthly basis. Now, we could look at this more frequently, right? We could, and we can do a lot more with this. This is like an intro piece. Like we have the ability to go and look at the different models, the different makes, different areas, zip codes, segment, slice, dice, and we'll do more of that on this channel. We got to figure out how to blur it all, but we'll do more of that because it's pretty cool. But I think share and share change year over year is really, really important to understand how we're actually facing against the market. So this right here essentially shows us that, okay, what's the market doing? We all want to know, well, what's the market doing? Well, it's the market. Or when advertising doesn't work, it's like, oh, it must be the market. Oh, the market's tough. Oh, it's really slow out there. Oh, like I've heard it all before. I hate using those excuses. So let's use a data approach. This is what the market's doing. This is our piece of the market. We need to either be at or better. So let's get our piece of the pie. And let's define what our backyard is, because guess what? I selected 50 miles here, but that's not necessarily everybody's area, right? As a new car franchise store who is a primary audience of this channel, you need to define your area. What's your PMA? What's your DMA, your AOI, your AOR, whatever your manufacturer calls it. We need to define what your market area is, and then we should own a certain percentage of that. I think above 50% you should own in your backyard. Above. You should, I mean, why not own like 100%, you know? I mean, it's pretty tough, depending upon inventory, but why not? It's a goal, right? So looking at this, how did we come up with $200,000 a month in sales? Well, between a couple of stores, we found 60 plus sales opportunities going to other stores within this area for new cars. And guess what? The average PVR, gross profit, whatever you want to call it, per retail unit is around $3,000 a copy. So there's your $200,000 per month. And guess what? That's just front end. Well, I should say front end, but that's just like the new car sales piece of it. What about the service retention? What about like all the stuff like the used cars, the trades, all that stuff? It's not just that. So this data is extremely important, and we're going to get more into this. And knowing share is a huge deal. And not just share, true retail share. And not just true retail share, true retail share change year over year. So, how does this relate to advertising? Well, what we can do then is we can segment, we can go by model, we can go by trim, we can go by area, and we can find and dance and dive and all this different stuff to find the exact little optimizations of which vehicles sold, which vehicles didn't sell, which ones we should order, which ones we shouldn't, right? vAuto and all these other tools, you know, claim to essentially do that. But this is actual retail reporting from the manufacturer. Where vAuto and a lot of those other tools, I think, get it a little bit inaccurate is they assume a sale based on if a vehicle left inventory. That's a big assumption. A vehicle could have left inventory for a lot of different reasons besides that. I think it's okay, but it's not a true reasonable analysis of a market, right? The retail sales data is. And maybe it's not in real time, but you got to see what happens after the month post-mortem to get the best accurate data. And this is not Polk either. I feel like I'm selling AutoFlight. This is not Polk. Polk data is too far in the past. It's registration data, but that's too far in the past. It's by the state, right? There might be another provider I'm unaware of at this time, but like this, the urban science data is creme de la creme of what we can analyze by. So we need to see what the heck is going on. Just because a store is in the top doesn't mean that we're doing the best job. Now I'm going to scroll to a different section. I'm going to scroll to this section right here. This is a separate section of this report. The difference is it's not limited to a 50-mile radius. I can hand select any single dealer up to 10 that I want to see who's tracking. Guess what? Same month of July. You're going to not see these dealer names, but I'm going to let you know that the dealer in question that we're looking at is this one here. Guess what? They had plus 5 units year over year. This is your period sales versus your last year. They went from 108 to 113. But these are two competitors of theirs within 20 miles of their store. One went up 33, one went up 18. That's not good. For me, I don't like that. That means we did not capture enough market. We need to fix that. And we need to fix it quickly. Otherwise, we're going to lose out on opportunities. So, knowing this data is really, really relevant and really, really important. We're going to figure out how to do it. And I already have some game plans of how to do it digitally. Right? So, look at the real data. Know the insight. Those are big units that we could have captured market share. How come we only sold 5 extra when our competition sold 33, 18? This competitor is a little too far away, but 33 and 18, it's a lot of units. It's a real lot of units. So we need to figure this piece out, right? And that's where your plus $100,000 of sales opportunity is. Certain stores don't know this is happening. Certain stores don't know how to identify the sales gap and opportunity. This is what we need to look at. David Feldman-Makrias, I hope this found you well. And we'll be creating a lot more videos real soon. Thank you. See you next week.